Could when you work lead to anxiety and depression? A new study says yes. This is News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Beth. Make sure you watch to the end to learn vocabulary to talk about this story.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and try the quiz on the website. Now, the story.
People who start work outside of the regular 9 to 5 are at a higher risk of poor mental health. A new study of UK workers has found that those who work shifts are more likely to suffer from anxiety and depression. Smoking, lack of sleep and exercise are more common among shift workers. In the study, shifts are defined as work that starts outside of the typical 9 to 5.
You've been looking at the headlines, Beth. What's the vocabulary?
We have tied to, after all, and odd.
This is News Review from BBC Learning English. Let's have a look at our first headline.
This is from Mirage News. Shift work tied to depression and anxiety. Lifestyle factors key.
So this headline says that shift work is tied to anxiety and depression. Tied to is the vocabulary we are going to learn about. And today, Beth, I'm wearing a clue. I am wearing a tie, and the verb to attach that tie to me is to tie. Can you tell us some more?
Yeah, you're looking very smart. So you tied your tie to yourself, and now it's attached to you and attached to your shirt. So that is a clue here. Tied to is related to attach.
Yes, that's right, but that is literal. And in this headline, it's being used metaphorically. So there's a link or a connection between shift work and anxiety and depression, just as there is a connection, a link between this tie and my neck. Can you give us another example?
Yeah, so the police might tie a criminal, a person, to a crime if they find evidence. Again, there's a link or a connection between the criminal and the evidence.
And going back to our story about shift work, getting a good night's sleep is tied to living longer. Okay, let's look at that again. And I think I'll take my tie off.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Let's have our next headline.
This is from the Mail Online. Why 9 to 5 isn't so bad for your mental health after all. People who do shift work up to 22% more likely to suffer depression and anxiety, study suggests.
So, working from 9 to 5, which is regular working hours for a lot of people, isn't bad for your mental health after all. And after all is the expression that we're going to learn about now. Can you explain it more, Beth?
Yeah, well, it means that in the end, something was different to what you expected. So people thought that working 9 to 5 wasn't so good for your mental health, but actually it turns out that it's not that bad after all. So it's different to what you expected.
Yes, and to give another example, last weekend, my plan was to go to a big outdoor festival, but the weather forecast was terrible, rain was expected. However, the sun came out after all, and so I could go to the festival after all. It wasn't what I expected.
Okay, that's good. But I've just thought, remember that meal that you cooked for me?
Oh yeah, beans on toast.
Yeah, it looked terrible, but actually it wasn't that bad after all.
Okay, good. Let's look at that again. Let's have our next headline.
This is from The Messenger. Odd hours and night shifts raise risk of depression, anxiety. Study.
So, odd hours increase the risk of anxiety and depression. And we are looking at the adjective odd, which has a few uses in English. You might know the mathematical meaning, numbers like 1, 3, 5, 7. Not really connected to that though.
It's not really. So if you say something like, that's odd, it means it's a bit unusual. So other adjectives that we use in a similar way are strange and weird.
Yeah, so the headline says odd hours, meaning hours that are different to the 9 to 5 that a lot of people have as normal. Odd can be quite negative sounding though in English. So how do we use it?
Well, it's often used to describe situations. So I have a friend who is always on time, but I met her yesterday. She was late and I thought, that's odd. She's normally here on time.
Yeah, and we can also use it with objects and places. So perhaps you go to a museum and it's full of odd little artifacts. They're a bit strange. Let's look at that again. We've had tied to, linked to,
After all, it's not actually what you expected.
and odd, unusual.
If you enjoyed this video, we have more videos about emotional well-being in our 6-minute English box set. Click here to watch.
And click here to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another video.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.